Hey everybody, how's everyone doing? Good? Are you coming down off your coffee buzz now? Because I've been drinking only coffee today, so I'm just going to be energy the whole time. So today I get to talk about design and creativity, so I'm super excited to get to do that. My name is Sarah Kuehnle. I am the head of product at Dribbble. I am a product leader, a designer, an illustrator, and an engineer. I'm also a geek, I'm very proud of that. I get super excited about tools and process. I love experimenting with them, probably to a fault. I'm sure it's annoying to my team, but I like to test out all the tools so that they don't have to. And so we're going to talk about a lot of those tools today. But I also love to learn and teach people. So if anyone has questions about tools that I'm not talking about today that you're curious about, I'd love to chat with you after today. So I've had a 20+ year career in tech, and I've held roles in design. I moved over to engineering because I was jealous of developers who could actually make things work. And then eventually found myself in product roles. And that was awesome for me because I have this kind of sweet spot of getting to sit in between designers and engineers and help them do their best work. And so today I'm super psyched because I basically have my dream job. I've been a Dribbble user almost since the beginning, and I'm now the head of product at Dribbble. So I joined them about a year ago. For those of you who don't know, Dribbble is a platform for the world's best designers and creative professionals. It's also the #1 source for hiring the top designers. So we have companies come to us to help them find the best talent, and we're really proud of the work that designers who come to Dribbble contribute. When designers come to us, they're looking to accomplish a lot of different things. They do want job opportunities, and that's one of the primary reasons they join, but they're also looking for community and other designers to learn from and spend time with. They're also looking for feedback, they're looking to learn, and just feel more connected to their community. This is our very handsome team. The Dribbble team is fully remote. We're about 34 people. There's a few pretend people who couldn't be in this photo. If you can find them, talk to me later and I'll give you a prize. They're pretty nicely hidden in there. I did a good Photoshop job. I'm good at that. So we're about 34. We're a team of designers, engineers, community creators and builders, and business leaders. But all of us have come together to work on Dribbble because we're passionate about design and community. And one of the things that we love to do is in our day-to-day, and it's something I spend most of my days doing, which is just talking to other designers. We love to learn how they do their work, what challenges they encounter when they're doing that work, how we can help them with those challenges. And we've taken a lot of those things that we've learned from them to apply back to our own processes internally and to the tools that we use to help our own designers do their best work. So today, I'm going to talk about how you collaborate on design remotely. But first, I want to talk to you a little bit about why I'm passionate about this topic. So a few years ago, about 5 or 6, I was living in San Francisco, working at a startup, doing the whole San Francisco experience. And I was working on another product that I absolutely loved. I was an avid user of it. I had the opportunity to join that team as a product manager and a designer. And it basically had everything that I wanted. It was a community that was growing quickly. It was challenging me and helping me grow as both a designer and product manager, and an amazing team of people who were all really committed to what we do. So I thought that was my dream job. I was in the perfect place for me. But life happened, as it so often does, and my partner's father became quite ill. And so we decided that it was time to move from San Francisco to the East Coast in the tiny little state of Connecticut so that we could be closer to his family. Now, I thought that though my company was completely located in San Francisco, we had some engineers who had recently started working remotely. And so I made a proposal to my boss that I could be the first remote designer on the team. And that proposal was rejected. Which was crushing to me. I really felt I could make it work. I was passionate about the idea of remote. I'd worked remotely in the past, but there were a lot of concerns that my boss had about how designers would work in a remote environment. How would we support them? I was also looking for a way to work a poop emoji into my presentation, so nailed it. So sadly, I had to leave that job. And so today, I want to talk about the ways that I've looked at the concerns that he's had and how I feel we've solved them for the team at Dribbble and for other designers who we share our processes with. So let's do this. I'm going to start with basic tools. I get asked a lot. We've been chatting about the basics of text chat and video today. So the basic tools that we use at Dribbble are text chat for our day-to-day communication. We have channels for status. Everything that we do is basketball themed. That's why we have a basketball logo. So our main room where we all chat during the day is called the locker room. And it's heavily filled with GIFs and emojis. It's something that you learn really quickly. It's part of our onboarding process is how to use them effectively to hammer points home. But we have channels in Slack for all of our project teams, for specific projects if they're big enough, but also a lot of personal channels where people can talk about the things that they care about. And for most of us, that's dogs and video games. So we have channels where we can geek out about those things. There's also a tools channel, but I'm the only person in there. But it's awesome, and I put a lot of good links in there, so what can you do? So that's our text chat. We've also experimented with a lot of video conferencing tools, and as our team is growing, what's really important to us is that we can support a lot of people. And so we've chosen Zoom as our tool. Again, we love it because we can support all of our team as we're growing. We can also share our screens really easily. We've recently learned that you can also, in addition to sharing your computer screen, you can connect your iPhone, your Android, or your iPad and mirror that so your team can look at that device as well, which is super cool. We can also invite people into our calls really easily. We do a lot of user interviews with designers who we want to invite into a team chat, and we can do that really easily with Zoom. Those are my people. So there are two awesome features of Zoom. I've shared these tips already with a few of you, but I want to make sure everybody who leaves today knows that these features exist. So there are two features that exist in user preferences that are not turned on by default, and you should turn them on. The first is called Enhance My Appearance. Enhance My Appearance is amazing, and all of our designers use it because we have to look better than everybody else in the company because we are the trendiest. Enhance My Appearance just smooths you out. So when you roll out of bed in the morning and into that first meeting, you look amazing. Okay, first tip, that user preference. The second tip is green screen support. So Zoom has built-in green screen support. If you have a green screen or you have a good solid color behind you, it can be knocked out so that you can work in even more remote locations than you normally do. So I frequently like to work from the land of Ooh in Adventure Time, and this is basically what people have to look at all day when they're working with me. So I also want to point out that if you don't have a decent green screen, this does not work very well, so make sure you turn it off. So in this corner, you can see our wonderful CEO, Zach, and his failed green screen attempt, and the joy it was bringing to the rest of us on that call. And I totally won there. It's good. I have to one-up him. All right, so basic design tools that we use. The design tool space is really exploding, and over the last few years, there's just been a plethora of new ways for designers to get work done. And the tool that we've chosen to use primarily for all of our designers at Dribbble is Sketch. And for those of you who aren't designers, the really important thing to know about it is that it's a great tool for designing screens, for desktop, for web, and mobile. It has a really rich plugin environment, which developers contribute a lot to, which makes our workflows really customizable. So I'm going to touch on Sketch a few times today as we talk about different processes and tools that we use. But we've decided to use one design tool as a team because it's easier to teach new people as they come onto the team. It's easier to share files, and we can collaborate together when we're using the same tools. So now let's get into the meat of this. And what I'm going to do is walk through each of the concerns that my former employer had about why designers can't work remotely, and we'll try to offer some solutions to those concerns. So the first one, you can't brainstorm effectively if you're not in the same room. So if you're in an office, brainstorming is pretty easy. You can just grab a bunch of people, throw them in a conference room, everyone can fight for a whiteboard marker, and you just sort of let your ideas explode onto the whiteboard. And that's really great, and it can be really fun. There are some problems with it, of course. After you finish the brainstorm, someone's going to have to transcribe everything you wrote onto that whiteboard, or maybe take a photo of it so that you can share it with people. Worse, you might write DNE on there and hope that the next meeting doesn't erase what you wrote on the board, which usually you erase on purpose when you see the DNE, but it's still even a challenge for people in a co-located space. So how do we solve this for a remote team if the constraint is that we can't put everybody in the same room? And so here's the first tool that we use at Dribbble that we absolutely love, and I actually think it's one of their lesser known tools from InVision. So InVision, again, for those of you not in the design space, InVision is a digital product design platform. They have all sorts of tools and features that enable designers to collaborate more effectively and really do their best work. It's a growing company. They're also fully remote, and we really love everything that they do. Again, freehand is a little bit lesser known, but essentially it's just a digital whiteboard. You can invite your team to this whiteboard. Everyone gets a different marker color. You can drag images onto the screen. You can draw, and it'll correct your shape. So if you draw what kind of looks like a circle, it'll turn it into a circle. So if you're worried about your drawing skills, this will enhance your appearance, which is pretty cool. So it's great for marking things up. So we use this all the time at Dribbble. So all of our brainstorm sessions are held with a Zoom call that we all join. We'll start up a new freehand board and share that with all of the design team. Each of us then has a different marker color. And here we were working through an early attempt at figuring out what the components would be for an onboarding flow in a tool we were building. One of the other things that I really love about this digital whiteboard, as opposed to being in a conference room with a traditional whiteboard, is that you don't have to try and read the writing of the person who was controlling the whiteboard during that brainstorm. So in a digital space, you can just add text that can be resized and is easy for everyone to read. And of course, because everyone has a different color, it's easy to see who is contributing what in that meeting. So if you want to follow up with them, you know exactly who to go to. So I'm a big fan of flowcharts. This is not the most beautiful probably to all of you, but I think it's pretty sweet. We do a lot of flowcharting, especially at the beginning of a project. So we were building an app earlier this year that had a pretty complex onboarding flow, and that would be catered to different types of people, whether we're designers or recruiters. And so we jumped on a call together. Each person came in with a different marker color. I always have dibs on pink because it's on brand. So I was the person in control of the whiteboard during this meeting, and everyone else who joins that brainstorm is there to contribute. And so I was basically the transcription designer. And so as I'm mapping things out, the team can tell me what they want to include, if they have questions about something, and in that way we can work together to plan out a flow. Another great thing about a digital whiteboard, even for a co-located team, is that if you need to reorganize things, on a whiteboard you'd have to erase all of that, and on a digital whiteboard like InVision's freehand, you can just select those items and drag them around. They're also massive in size. This is not zoomed in at all, but you can pan these out and have really large documents with images and copies of attempts at flows. And so it's really flexible. And it's one of our favorite tools because there are no constraints for it. You can just draw. So I think using tools like digital whiteboards and whatever video conferencing tool that you like, you can brainstorm effectively as a remote team. You just need a few good rules in place to help make sure everyone's effective. And for us at Dribbble, that's meant letting one person kind of control the marker during the brainstorm session and have the rest of the team contribute and give ideas as they're drawing. So let's look at another concern. It's too hard to share research and sketches. So in a regular office, design teams are often very privileged to have a space that everyone in the company can see where they can pin up research and sketches and ideas and cool things that they're finding so that everyone has visibility into their research and sketching process. It's really cool because it is visibility for the rest of the company into what the design process looks like, which is usually pretty chaotic, but it also has some inherent problems even for a team who's in an office. Now, if I want to reference something that's on this inspiration board and I'm in a meeting room, I probably have to run out and take a picture of it or maybe grab the thing off the board and bring it in with me. So there are still some issues there. Also, and I've experienced this myself being someone who tried to manage a board like this in an office, is that your paper curls. So you have a lot of staples in the wall to try and stop things from curling and keep it looking nice. And all of the sticky notes for feedback that your team wants to share with you usually end up on the floor. And so they're pretty much lost. So even again, in an office environment, there are still challenges with this. On the sketching side, as anyone who works with a designer knows, we usually carry a sketchbook around with us. feeling a little awkward because I don't have one right now, but this is helping. I'll probably make drawing motions with it as we go. But we spend a lot of time like working through ideas in our sketchbooks. And of course, sharing those with people. If you're in an office, they can just take a look at it on your desk, or you can show it in a meeting, and it's easy to communicate those ideas. But if you're remote working, how are you going to share these sketches with people? And how do we make it easy and not clunky where you're having to take photos and save them or email them? So again, InVision is back with another feature we love called boards. You can think about boards a lot like Pinterest. You basically can collect a lot of assets together. What's really nice about this over Pinterest is that you just have to drag images onto the screen to add them. But you can also add text, you can add color swatches, files that you want to download. The Dribbble team uses it as a place to organize our style guide. So if someone needs our logos or the fonts that we use, they can get them from a board. This is a board where we were starting to look at the way different design tools like Dribbble that may be made by Adobe, how they handle displaying work in their own apps. Another thing that's really nice about these boards when you're trying to collect and organize information during the research phase of a process is that you can create headings and organize your content in those ways. And so here, we were starting to explore some improvements that we wanted to make to the way we crop images in the Dribbble experience. And so a part of that is going out and looking at how everyone else is cropping images. And are there things that we can improve on? Or is there a standard way that we should just adopt that we really like? But having this level of coordination and an organization is really nice. You can also link people directly to these sections of a board that you create. So giving feedback on a particular section is really easy. There are workflows you can use that connect these things directly to Sketch. So you can just hit a button to share, and it'll show up in the channel that you want to share it in. And so we use that a lot to make sure that these things that we create for each project are very visible to the rest of our team. And to solve that sketching problem, we have a couple of different tools that we use. So again, we're using boards to collect all of the sketches that we do, but most of our designers are using iPads to do all of their sketching. It's pretty much replaced a traditional sketchbook for me. The iPad and the Apple Pencil are transformative for designers, and so we'll sketch out ideas like this shot detail page that I was working on, and you can just simply send it from your iPad right into this InVision board and then share it with the team for feedback. So we can share all of that information really easy using a tool that helps us collect and organize all of the things that we want as a part of our research phase. And it's nice for us, again, that it's on the same platform as our previous tool because it's one place for the team to look. And so we'll name each project with whatever the focus of that is. In the case of that earlier sketch, it was improving our shot detail pages. And everyone will know that if the project is called Shot Details, you can jump into InVision, you'll find a board and probably a freehand document with information about those projects. So I think we have this concern covered. All right, next concern. You can't gather feedback fast enough. This was probably one of my boss's biggest concerns about what it would be like as a remote designer. The last thing you want is that someone is isolated and trying to solve a problem on their own without getting feedback from other stakeholders on the team. So in a regular office, these are really nice models, in a regular office, as this clearly is, giving feedback is as easy as walking up to someone's computer and pointing at their screen and telling them what you think. The problem with this photo, of course, is that you'd never point at it with a pencil. You always point at someone's monitor with your finger. And to make sure that you hammer the point home, you've got to smudge it all over their screen so that they can see what you were referring to. But you can give feedback to them. And so that's one pretty standard method, annoying as it is, especially for the designer, is to have someone walk up and tell you what they think. That's great in an office. You also do formal design reviews where you'll take your work in progress and present it to a group. But getting feedback there is also limited to a specific set amount of time. So again, it works in a co-located space. It has its annoyances, but it can work. So in a remote environment, we need to find a way to make sure that we can gather feedback quickly and that everyone is notified when there is feedback to work with. So I'm going to talk about another InVision feature, and I promise you that this is not a paid endorsement. I'm not sponsored by InVision. I am just a fan. But there is another InVision feature called prototypes. And prototypes are especially cool because if you use a tool like Sketch or Photoshop, they have a plugin called Craft, which makes it really easy to send designs from your screen design tool, in our case Sketch, directly to an InVision prototype. So all I have to do is click a button and all of my design work is made available for my team to take a look at. So here I've uploaded a screen for a sign-in flow improvement in our iOS app. And another thing that is super cool about this is that, given its name, prototypes, is that if I have a series of screens that are going to walk people through a particular flow, using InVision's prototype feature, I can connect them with hot links so that when someone visits this board, they can actually click through and interact with my app as if it was a real working app. So in terms of getting feedback, which is what's most important to us here, is that for every screen that I upload, any viewer who I invite, they don't need to be an InVision member, you just need to open up the board to them. They can enter this comment mode, and this is something that's invaluable for a distributed or a remote design team. So when you're in comment mode, you can zoom in on a design, and all you have to do is tap on the screen on the area you want to give feedback. So if I don't like the type, or I think the alignment of that sign-in button is in the wrong place, or I don't like the color, all I have to do is tap on it and add that comment so that when the designer comes in, they're going to see that that comment was in the context of this specific thing. Frequently, when designers show their work to people, they'll hear things like, "I don't like the colors. That's laid out weird. Why did you do that?" And it's hard to understand what to do with that sort of feedback. And so being able to provide comments and context is extremely valuable. Again, for a remote team, it's great if you can upload this work and have it in a tool people can access, but you need to know that there's feedback there that you can take action on. And so another important feature of this InVision tool is that you get notified as the designer who created the project or as a team member who's associated with the project that there are new comments to respond to. If I need to make a revision to my design based on that comment, let's say I'm going to change the Dribbble logo type over to our basketball, I can make that change, upload it from Sketch to InVision, again, just at the click of a button. It's very little work on my side. And the person who added the comment to that prototype will be notified that a revision has been made and that I've responded to their comment. If I need to, I can close it and they'll see it's been resolved. They can see that update. But everyone who has touched the project now knows that it has been revised, there are updates there, and the comment is resolved. And then only actionable comments are left for the designer to work through. So we use this as a part of our main design processes. We're working through, especially the visual design of an app. We're currently working on a couple of desktop apps for the Dribbble experience, which is a super hint of what's to come from us. Just gonna say that, we're working on a desktop app. But you didn't hear that from me. Don't tell my CEO. What's great about it is that we know that all of our projects are stored as InVision prototypes. And so again, if I'm working on a shot detail project, there'll be a prototype called shot details in InVision that my team can access, review, and give feedback on. There's also an approval flow as a part of this tool so that if you've finished revisions and the design has been approved by the project owner, you can mark that that design's now closed and ready to be integrated by the development team. And so we use those steps of in progress, under review, and ready for dev as a way to signal that work is ready to continue. You can also navigate between all of the screens that you're working on really easily. So for complex flows, this is a sign-in flow that includes social login. People can jump in between all of them, inspect them, and leave comments to their heart's desire. So we can gather feedback fast as a design team working remotely. We just have to find the right tools that we can work with and that can feel a part of a natural workflow. So we've been really happy to experiment with InVision and find so many tools that can make our design team really effective. All right, next, you can't work on the same design together. So again, in a regular office, if you want to work with another designer, you can just sit beside them. Find a spot, sit down, start working. In a remote location, that's a little bit harder. And this is probably a pretty easy one to solve. So I wanted to mention this because I do hear a lot from people that it's hard to get designers working together on remote teams. At Dribbble, we definitely believe that creativity is a team sport, and so we actually try to do what we call design pairing. We've stolen that from pair programming from the engineering world, but in engineering, a couple of programmers will sit together. One will code and the other will coach and give feedback as they work. And so we've been using that as a design process as well. So two designers will jump on a call in Zoom. The designer who's going to do the editing will share their screen, whether it's Sketch or in this case we were working in browser. And that person will do all of the modifications. And the other designer on the call is there to give you feedback and suggest new ideas. We'll set times to do that for all of our design team, cycling through designers so that people are working with people they don't normally work with. And we usually run these for about an hour at a time. If a designer wants to pair kind of spontaneously during the week, we've written a little bot request tool for Slack where a designer can say, hey, I'm looking for someone to pair with, who's available, and that gets posted into our Slack channel. So that's a pretty easy one. We just need to be flexible and open to working with each other. And again, use the tools that we have already. And Zoom has been great for us to solve the problem of getting designers to work together. All right, couple more. This one, it's too easy to overwrite each other's work. So when I worked in a physical office, if two designers were working on the same project, they'd usually kind of divide and conquer on their tasks. So if you were working on a sign-up flow, one of you might take the traditional email route, the other one might take the social sign-in portion of that, or maybe take the login experience and compare your work as you go. But you use verbal communication to make sure that you're not both working on the same file, that when you save it back to Dropbox or whatever your file storage system is, it doesn't overwrite the other person's work. That doesn't always work. Normally, we just make copies of our design files and just add on to the file name over and over with the date or rev or final, which is horrible. And so there has to be a better way to do this. Programmers have solved this problem with version control processes, so designers have to be able to do this too. So for Sketch users, there's an awesome tool. I am a super fan of this right now because it has made a huge change in the way we work at Dribbble. And it's called Abstract, and it is a visual version control tool for designers. It connects with Sketch, and it actually becomes kind of the home of all of your Sketch activity. When you start a new project, you'll create it in Abstract instead of opening up Sketch, and you're basically creating a repository. Most of the language is interchangeable with regular Git workflows, so if you're familiar with working with tools and environments like GitLab or GitHub, it's easy to make for designers to jump into this world, and it's also easy for an engineer to teach a designer how all of this works. So for every project we work on at Dribbble, we started off in Abstract. And so here is a project on a tool we're working on called Crew. And once you get it started, just like in the engineering world, you'll create a branch. And a branch is basically a copy. It's your own working space to work on the thing that you're doing. Once you're finished working on that copy, you can submit it for a design review. We have a pretty simple design review process. At Dribbble, it usually involves doing some pair designing to just review it with another designer, make sure that we've covered whatever their task was. Once it's ready to go, we can commit it back into our master repository. What's really nice about Abstract is it's a completely visual experience. Designers, it's really hard to get them to use command line tools, as powerful and awesome as they are. So this is a visual tool that makes it much easier for them. If there are conflicts between work, if let's say we're both working on that sign-up experience, Abstract gives you some really nice visual conflict resolution tools so that you can see the changes that have been made by both side by side and decide which one is going to be promoted. Both designers who worked on it will get notifications so that they can also talk to each other. And as much as us introverts who love working remotely would hate to admit, we do actually need to talk to each other to make a design team successful remotely. And this is a great tool for us, which helps facilitate those conversations. Another great feature of Abstract is that if you're working on a product that has many features and you're constantly using the same assets, you can create asset libraries of your logos, colors, the type that you use, so that you're not always starting a sketch file from scratch. And so Abstract can be the home for that and has its own repository to maintain your own design system or language. As a manager of designers, it's also a great place to see what your design team is up to, so you can see their activity status and stay up to date with the projects that they're working on. And so, for the last 6 months or so, I have not had to fall into the trap of naming my files sign up screen, version 3, final, rev4, .sketch. And that has made us immensely happy. We have one source of truth for all of our design work, and that makes for a very happy design team. So we don't have to overwrite each other. Again, we just had to find the right tools that would empower our team to do great work. All right, so this is my last one. And this one was the biggest concern of my boss, and that's that our creative culture was going to suffer if we started allowing our designers to work remotely. And so this is one I am particularly really proud of with the Dribbble team. We've spent a lot of time thinking about how to promote and grow our culture as a company. So I'm going to share a few of the things that we do as a team to help make work fun. This is actually a shot of us at one of our company meetups. We're good dressers, nice hair. So as I've heard from a lot of you, which is super awesome, we try to get our team together a couple of times a year. The way that we've been doing that is that we have also started holding a community conference twice a year called Hang Time. Hang Time is a chance for us to invite our community to come together. We try to bring some of the best and most famous designers to come and share their stories with the community. And that gives us an opportunity to fly our whole team out to, one, spend time together, but also to get face-to-face with our users. And so whether you're a product manager, a designer, or an engineer, you're talking to the people who are using the product you're building, and that's really important to us. We tend to do a couple of retrospective meetings when we get together, but primarily we're there to eat, play board games, and experience the city that we're in. This was from our first meetup in Boston. We had a photo booth that was actually for the community to use, but I think we kind of hogged it for the whole night because we were so happy to be together. But getting people together in that same location and just doing fun things has helped us create stronger bonds with each other, and it's invaluable. We look so forward to seeing each other every 6 months. So we also have started having weekly and monthly coffee times and happy hours. The monthly happy hour is the first one that we did, and we liked it so much that now we've snuck another one in there and call it coffee time. But it's an open Zoom call that anyone can join. We encourage everyone to take part. And it's a time for us just to talk. There's no set plan. Very often, we're telling personal stories. We might be sharing side projects that we're working on. Sometimes we're talking about the unfortunate fashion decisions we've made. Zach and I showed up wearing the same t-shirt as this call started, and turns out that that's as awkward remotely as it is in person. So I think one of us changed after this before everyone else showed up. But one other thing that we've been doing with these happy hours that is really great and has worked so well, and I would encourage you guys to try this, is that we've started playing games together during the happy hour. And so there are games like Codenames. There's a game company called Jackbox who make like trivia games and drawing games that work really, really well for remote teams. And so we will get together and we'll play those games, and it's just a time for us all to laugh and unwind and just enjoy each other. Eminem, that guy. So our most recent change, and something I really love about our culture, is that we just look for ways to have fun with each other. And so we've started doing something that we like to call Fun Photo Fridays. And we'll pick a topic or a theme. It's usually something random that has come up in the previous week. And so last Friday's topic was Eminem. The way this arrived was that we started talking about spaghetti, and spaghetti led to Mom's spaghetti, which led to Eminem. And so for that Photo Friday, everyone was asked to do their best Eminem impression and upload it to our main Slack channel. And we get really excited about taking selfies, so everyone on the team dressed up in their best Eminem getup and posted that to Slack. The greatest part about this is that, one, I don't think there was a single person. This is only a few of the photos, and some people uploaded multiple. Everyone participated, and it was a great way to get these little insights into the personalities of our teams. I probably shouldn't have done this, but this is our CEO, Zach, up in the top right corner. He uploaded this and gave himself a new rap name, which is Little ZZ. So should you meet him in the future, just call him Little ZZ and he'll totally love that. All right, last little cultural exercise that we do. We're all avid readers, and so we do two things. The first is that we formed a book club. Each month we pick a book, and then everyone on the team who wants to participate will read that book. And at the end of the month, we'll get together to talk about it. What did we learn? What do we think? And it could be on any topic. We've read books about seagulls. We've read business books. I force people to read cycling books because I'm an avid cyclist, and I wanted them to learn about why cycling is cool, which was a pretty tough sell for my team. I'm not allowed to pick books anymore. But it's a great time, again, just to get together and talk about something and have a good time. And the way we actually started our book club was that we tried an experiment last Christmas with doing a Secret Santa book exchange. And in that book exchange, we were each given a team member and asked to purchase a book that we thought that particular person would like. Can't reveal who that person was that you bought the book for, but you mailed it off to them. And then a few days before the holidays, we jumped onto a Zoom call, each with our favorite Christmas beverage. And we unwrapped our presents one by one to reveal the book we received and then to learn who gave it to us. And it was so much fun. I think we scheduled 30 minutes for this. We ended up spending about 3 hours together because everyone had these insightful stories about why they had purchased a particular book for the other person. So we've blogged about this. We tell everyone that we can about how much fun this was and how meaningful it was to our team. We've already decided to do it again the coming year. And we've actually learned that a lot of other teams have picked this up and are trying it with their own remote teams. But it's a really fun way to step outside of your day-to-day work and just do something fun together. So your creative culture definitely doesn't have to suffer. Some specific things our design team does are get together to draw. Not everyone on the design team considers himself an illustrator, and so we love to try and share tips, especially on digital illustration with an iPad. We did some graffiti writing exercises as a team recently, but we just look for ways that are not a part of our regular day-to-day responsibilities to spend time together. And when we do that and look for ways to do that in interesting ways remotely, you not only can have a creative culture that's good, but one that really thrives. All right, so we're gonna wrap up, but I have some bonus tips that I wanna leave you with today. So tip number one, invest in the best tools for your team. So InVision Studio is a tool you can buy for your team. It's a subscription service, and that's great, but it's a tool they basically just need to do their job. But finding ways for them to do their best work is really important. And for our design team, the two most important tools that we buy for every designer are an iPad Pro and an Apple Pencil. That digital design workflow is amazing, and it's a wonderful gift to give a new design team member when they join the team. And this has really changed the way that I work. I've started doing tutorials and teaching people about how to work completely with their iPads. And our whole team has just completely embraced this. And so we really believe that the expense is worth making this change in a designer's workflow. So second tip is show your work. It's really important that we let people know what we're doing as we're going through the design process. And rather than scheduling a lot of meetings, what our team has started doing is using QuickTime to record short little videos that give people an update on where we are in the design process. So here, one of our designers was working through a new upload flow idea. He made an InVision prototype and then just recorded a quick little video walking us through where he was and what some of the problems were that he was encountering. QuickTime is free. If you have a Mac, it's just installed on your machine, and so it's really easy to turn that on, record a video, and drop it into Slack. And so instead of having a meeting, people can watch the video when they're ready and then give you feedback when the time suits them, which we really love. All right, last tip, design your workspace. So designers love to have the coolest workspaces in an office. Usually means lots of Mac stuff, very minimalist, clean space. Usually all of your accessories have to be the same color. And we designers judge each other on our ability to do this well. So at Dribbble, something that we do for all of our team members is that we give them a yearly office stipend. And with that stipend, they can buy the tools that they want to design the workspace that will make them feel inspired and creative and want to do, and basically work the way they want to work. So for me, that's meant buying some stand-up desk which you can clearly see from this photo. I didn't even need to say that. A nice chair to sit on when I get tired. A big monitor, which you also can't see here, but this is about 1 meter wide, which maybe was a little overkill. But nice tools, like get a good webcam, have a nice microphone so that your communication is really clear. And allow your companies to use that as a stipend so that you can help them build those workspaces. For some people who are more nomadic in their work, that might mean a really great backpack that makes it easy for them to travel, or additional chargers so that they can have them spread out wherever they go. But supporting that for your team is really important. So can you be remotely creative? Yes, you can. Thank you very much.